Super good to see everybody. So I've got quite a few things to do with Instagram today, but we're also going to look at some of the key features of leadership. And I'm going to have you operate in those key features. And I'll always stand by this. When I first was asked to be a Jewel trainer by Marianne Luciano, if anyone remembers when she was with the company, I remember thinking like, I really don't know if I'm qualified for this job, but I learned so much from her. And the thing that I learned is that above any other skill set, like being able to do sales really well or social media really well, like above and beyond all of that, the secret to success is your ability to lead. Leadership actually equates to success because, of course, if you're leading in such a way that people want to stay, they want to emulate what you're doing, they believe in the mission of what you're doing together, then you have people running with you. So that's a big deal. So I'm going to go ahead and start this out by showing you this leadership video. It's 5 minutes. I really want you to take it to heart. And then we're going to go and do some of the things that it mentioned. Let me go ahead and make sure everybody's muted. By the way, I'm missing everybody. And I will say this. I probably shouldn't say it because then now I'm scared to say it. Maybe I shouldn't say it. But I have to say it because it's kind of funny. I literally am flying back from Arizona and I'm sitting next to this woman who lives in my town, like just by coincidence. And I notice I have like this tickle in my throat. Now I'm wearing my mask and I'm being responsible, but I'm like, like the entire flight. I'm like, can we pick a more nightmare experience where I'm on a plane and I'm feeling like there's someone living in my throat? And I'm like, surely this is nothing. It's just the changing altitudes. And then daggone it, if it wasn't the daggone C word. Anyhow, okay, so let me share my screen. I want you guys to just kind of immerse yourself in this particular video. If you've seen it already, it's always a good refresher. It's literally 5 minutes and it's the very best in the whole wide world. And then we'll talk about what to do to make this happen.
Do you love your wife? Yes. Prove it. Like, what's the metric? Give me the number that helps me know, right? Because when you met her, you didn't love her. Now you love her, right? Tell me the day the love happened. It's an impossible question. But it's not that it doesn't exist. It's that it's much easier to prove over time, right? Leadership is the same thing. It's about transitions. So if you were to go to the gym, it's like exercise, right? If you go to the gym and you work out and you come back and you look in the mirror, you will see nothing. And if you go to the gym the next day and you come back and you look in the mirror, you will see nothing, right? So clearly there's no results, can't be measured. It must not be effective. So we quit. Right? Or if you fundamentally believe that this is the right course of action and you stick with it, like in a relationship, I bought her flowers and I wished her happy birthday and she doesn't love me. Clearly I'll give up. That's not what happens. If you believe there's something there, you commit yourself to an act of service. You commit yourself to the regime, the exercise. You can screw it up. You can eat chocolate cake one day. You can skip a day or two. You know, it allows for that. But if you stick with it consistently, I'm not exactly sure what day, but I know you'll start getting into shape. I know it. And the same with the relationship. It's not about the events. It's not about intensity. It's about consistency, right? You go to the dentist twice a year, your teeth will fall out. You have to brush your teeth every day for 2 minutes. What does brushing your teeth twice a day for 2 minutes do? Nothing. Unless you do it every day, twice a day for 2 minutes. Right? It's the consistency. Going to the gym for 9 hours does not get you into shape. Working out every day for 20 minutes gets you into shape. So the problem is we treat leadership with intensity. We have a 2-day offsite. We invite a bunch of speakers. We give everybody a certificate. You're a leader, right? Those things are like going to the dentist. They're very important. They're good for reminding us or getting us back on track, learning new lessons. But it's the daily practice of all the monotonous, little, boring things like brushing your teeth that matter the most. She didn't fall in love with you because you remembered her birthday and bought her flowers on Valentine's Day. She fell in love with you because when you woke up in the morning, you said good morning to her before you checked your phone. She fell in love with you because when you went to the fridge to get yourself a drink, you got her one without even asking. She fell in love with you because when you had an amazing day at work and she came home and she had a terrible day at work, you didn't say, yeah, but let me tell you about my day. Right. You sat and listened to her awful day and you didn't say a thing about your amazing day. This is why she fell in love with you. I can't tell you exactly what day, and it was no particular thing you did. It was the accumulation of all of those little things that she woke up one day and as if she pressed a button, she goes, I love him, right? Leadership is exactly the same. There's no event. There's no thing I can tell you you have to do that your people will trust you. It just doesn't work that way. It's an accumulation of lots and lots of little things that anyone by themselves is innocuous and useless. Literally pointless by themselves. People will look at little things that are good leadership practices and say, that won't work. And you're absolutely right. But if you do it consistently and you do it in combination with lots of other little things, like saying good morning to someone, that looking them in the eye. My friend George, who's a 3-star general in the Marine Corps, he says his test for leadership, and I love this, he goes, his test for a good leader is if you ask somebody how their day is going, you actually care about the answer. The number of times we're walking to a meeting, we're rushing, we go, how are you? Not good. I got to get to you later. I'm late for a meeting. If you ask the question, you were standing there and you were listening to the answer. It's those little innocuous things that you do over and over and over and over that people will say, I love my job. Not I like my job. I like my job means, yeah, the challenge is great. They pay me well. I like the people. I love my job means I don't want to work anywhere else. I don't care how much somebody else is willing to pay me. I'm devoted to the people here, and I care desperately about the people here as if they were my family. In business, we have colleagues and coworkers. In the military, they have brothers and sisters. That's how they think of each other. If you really have a strong corporate culture, the people will think of each other like brothers and sisters. It's like a family, right? No, brothers and sisters. Deep love. Fight, but the love doesn't go away. Bicker, the love doesn't go away. And I'll fight with my sister, but if you threaten my sister, you're gonna have to deal with me, right? We'll fight internally, we'll bicker with each other, but nobody's gonna hurt each other. And if anything from the outside shows up, you're looking at a unified front. Brothers and sisters. Now, how do you create brothers and sisters out of strangers? Common beliefs, common values, parents, in other words, executives who care about their children's success, who care to raise their children, teach them skills, discipline them when necessary, help them build their self-confidence so that they can go on and achieve something more than you could have ever imagined achieving for yourself. That's leadership.
Okay, so I remember one of the first times I did an opportunity tour, and I was with Charles, and I get really weird and like awkward around him. I have no idea why. Like I just can't be cool. Like it's just awkward and I'm uncomfortable. But anyhow, one of the things he said to me, and it was so simple, but it was something that I took to heart. He said, one of the greatest leadership tips is to always keep your promises. Like if you say you're going to do something, do it. And I have found on occasions when I'll say, I'm going to look this up and I'll get back to you, or I'm going to send you this sample. And I don't keep that promise in the way that I should have because life gets busy or crazy. And I hear that in my head. I hear the greatest leadership tool. I completely forgot to turn that on. Hold on. Is keeping your promises. And so I'm going to say to you, think about your team as a whole. And I want you to think about some of the greater leaders that you picture in your mind. And sometimes we get confused. We think, okay, this leader's the greatest because their social media looks amazing. And like they always show up at events looking like, they're in charge and they're like well put together. That's not indicative of strong leadership. And it just goes right back to the brushing your teeth 2 times a day. It is the small, boring stuff. You do what you say you're going to do. On the first of the month, you have a plan for that month that you share with your team. You are keeping a mission statement. And if you haven't written one for your team, I don't care if you have 3 people on your team or you have 300, if you don't have a mission statement that's been worked on and approved by the people that are running towards the same goal with you, then what are you running towards? Because it certainly can't be Jewel. It can't just be the smell of coconut and sand between your toes. It's not enough. We know that because people leave, people go to other companies. It's not enough. We've had people that have earned the top prize of like going to Musha Key and they didn't stay. Is that enough to keep people as part of your organization? So when we've done this 10 message commitment, this month is meant to sow those seeds of really listening, really connecting, really getting to know our people, showing that we're here, that we're present. So that's what I want you guys to do right now. I want you to go into that 10 message commitment, remembering that you are sowing the seeds of leadership. I want you to put a side note that you will work on this mission statement. I made one with my team and I wrote it out on a graphic and I posted on the team page, and it created this like brave heart mentality of like, roar, like you have to have that feeling, and it's not conjured up or fake. You have to be moving towards something that evokes emotion. And if you weren't on that call the other night for the convention strategy Zoom, go back and watch Krista Deary's part where she talks about really evoking emotion, because if you don't have that, then you don't care about winner's dinner. You don't care about the $150 cash. It has to be something connected to a feeling. So go do that 10 message commitment and we'll come right back and work on our Instagram. Okay, so Karen, I'm going to tell you really quick what we were thinking with this whole idea behind the 10 message commitment. So, my husband's going to hate this. Whenever he walks in a room, my teenagers disperse because they know he's about to ask them to do something. That's what happens. He's not coming in to say, I'd really like to sit down and connect with you, son. It's like, could you go vacuum? Could you unload the dishwasher? They completely disappear. And so when I think about that and I think about the people on your team, there is something that happens when they get a message that feels like it in some way is moving towards like, are you producing results? Are you keeping your promise to yourself? Those messages, however important, should not be the main player. If you go back to Bridget Ryan with her parenting advice, she says, connect more than you correct. And so when you think about that with your team, how does it feel to get a message from someone that says, have I told you lately that I think you're the funniest person I've ever met? Or, hey, you got to see this funny reel that I just saw. It made me laugh, and I thought you deserve to laugh too. These are the ways that we make that connection, we build that trust, and let them know that this is not just about are you producing results? It's about, I want to know you. I want to stay connected to you. I want to grow in relationship with you. So going to them and asking them how they're doing, it's fine, but it always feels like there's some weird, like, huh? At the end, like, hey, checking in to see how you're doing. They're like, listen, I know what you're about to ask me. I don't feel like doing it right now. I'm not in the mood. Like it just evokes this weird defensiveness in our team. So if we go back to basics and really start to connect, hey, how are you doing? How are the kids? I know a lot of people haven't been feeling well. I want to make sure you've been feeling great. Or, hey, did you go ahead and get registered for Leaders Retreat? I cannot wait to see you down there. Did you have any plans? Did you want to connect? Did you want to get coffee? These are all great ways to make that connection. Okay, so you guys kind of know to do that. I mean, I would encourage you to do that as much as humanly possible. It's about a shifting your mindset because it's very easy to want to be in the well, in my husband's stage of like, you go to the dishwasher, you go sweep. And there's times for that for sure. But you don't want your team to disperse whenever you say a word, right? All right. So I would also encourage you guys, if you haven't done 21 laws of leadership with your team, you can build a leader out of anyone. I've seen it happen. I've seen my cold heart when I've seen someone, I've been like, they could never be a leader. And then they become one. I'm like, wow, how incredible is that? So when they invest in that time, they grow. So if you get together, work with sidelines, create a book study, do it for 4 weeks. Don't do it for 90 days because it's too long, but just do it quick, short, and then really invest in yourself and the people you invite into it. So I'm going to show you a couple of things about Instagram, and then we're going to work on that. One of the things is, you guys know this, is that reels are where it's at. And many of you are going to resist that till Jesus comes back because you just don't want to do it. You don't want to put the time in. It's embarrassing. You're going to mess up. Correct. And yet you're still going to grow. And why do you want more followers? More followers leads to more connection leads to more trust leads to more sales. But this is the first thing I want to show you because stories can be a little bit less daunting to get started with. This is the data that's been collected for 2022 on what you can expect in your stories and what the goal is in working in your stories. So they're saying out of the 500 million different accounts that are working in their stories, that people are using their stories, 70% of people are watching those stories daily. That's a lot of people that are going to the stories. In fact, I find myself doing stories more than I even look at people's posts. So the goal is to use videos. So in those videos, in your stories, show yourself, nurture your audience. And what that means is go back to what Sarah shared with you about your niche. You are talking to the people that are interested in the niche that you've picked, which is really hard because you feel like I'm a very multidimensional, complex person. I can't pick this one thing. Well, you can, especially for your profile grid, but in your stories, you have a little bit more freedom. You can talk about all the different things that you want to talk about. You don't have to stick to that one thing. Build relationships, make those stories engaging and interactive. I got to move this so I can click over some. Oops, I went too far. All right. Instagram stories are used by 36% of businesses to promote their products. 55% of influencers use Instagram stories for sponsored campaigns. So you're a micro influencer, usually people that have a smaller group of people that are listening consistently. You know, if you're doing a good job, when you look at your followers, let's say you have 2,000 followers. If 5% of that number, which is 50, 5% are every time you post, liking it, people are commenting, then you're doing really good. 5% interaction on your post is great. So focus on, creating that trust, creating that loyalty in your stories, making sure you're posting about relative things that people that you know are interested in. It's so easy to want to post about what somebody else did that looked like it worked for them. If I did things that other people did, it would come across as the strangest, like I'd been hijacked or abducted by aliens. So you guys have to stick with what you know. 58% of users say they're more interested in a brand after seeing it in a story. 50% of Instagram users say they visited a website to make a purchase of a product or service after seeing it in stories. Y'all, I happened to see this story of this woman that was going on and on and on about this like plant-based bathing mitt. And she like showed this whole thing, and she was like, she even wrote like a little poem about it, and all how she washed her arms and like basically her entire skin like peeled off in one big layer. And I was like, I need this. I want my skin to peel off in one big layer. I spent $20 on the dumbest bath mitt ever that doesn't even do what it said. But because she looked so believable in her stories, I'm not suggesting lie, guys, but I'm just saying I bought it because of the story. I saw her in stories and I spent $20 on a poorly functioning bath mitt. Okay, so anyways, it works. 3 things to keep in mind before you start working with influencers. And this goes number 1, there's a lot of scam out there. What that means is when you're in your stories, people already kind of have their defense up. They're like, are you lying to me? So remember that, because when you're being your true, real, happy, connecting self, that's going to build the trust. If you're not asking polls, questions, the little slidey happy face, then you're missing opportunity for engagement. People want to engage, they do. Okay. So make sure you're adding that to your stories. Instagram stories generate a quarter of the platform's ad revenues. Stories ads are predicted to bring in almost $16 billion. If you're not getting the point here, if you're not in your stories at least once a day, you're missing out. And I think Shalene Johnson said this. She's like, one day social media is going to be charged. Like she's like, one day we're going to all be sitting around like on our front porch drinking iced tea and 80 years old going, remember when we used to be able to post for free? You guys are, this could come. And so right now, if you're missing free marketing, you're missing out big time. And then finally, based on these facts, here are 5 Instagram story trends you can see this year. You're going to see more ads in your stories, which I've already started to see, more user generated video content, meaning make videos. Personality wins this year. So make sure you're in your stories, making videos, talking. It doesn't have to be a reel. You don't have to be like, have you tried this? Well, you should try it. You know, you've seen that reel. Raise your hand if you've seen one, unless you think I'm crazy. Okay. 1 out of 5. Well, anyhow, you don't have to be cute and cutesy. Just be yourself. Vlogging, that one's more like Amy Paul does a really good job of kind of like showing her life every single day. You can go and see that. And then product 360 videos, that's basically talking about what's in it, how it's used, what you love about it. Just try not to be too salesy. And that's going to cover that. Now, what I want you guys to do, but before we do that, I need to talk to you about reels. You're going to be working in your stories. And you're like, I haven't done my hair. I don't have lipstick on. I don't care. You could literally get on there and say, I just wanted to tell you guys, I've been doing this power hour every Monday and Wednesday. Has anybody ever done a power hour? Does anybody have suggestions for things that I could do during that time? Or I don't care what you guys talk about. It could be something going on in your life right now, or what it's like to raise teenagers, or a funny quote that you just heard, or anything you want to share about that's not divisive. That's always a little tricky. And then I want to show you something really quick. And the problem is it's hard for me to show you this on my laptop. That's a weird picture. Making reels. Do you guys know how to find trending audio to make reels with? Because this is actually really super simple. The best way for me to tell you how to do it is on your phone. So let me go ahead and stop sharing so that you guys can actually see, hopefully see my phone. What I want you to end up doing is in the notes section of your phone, you're going to be saving audios that you find on Instagram that are trending, that people are using regularly. And you're going to put a little note because you're going to see the audio and you're going to think, you know, I could use that and do this one thing. And because sometimes if you don't write down what came to your mind, you'll forget later on what you plan to do with that audio. If you could have a working list of like 20 audios with 20 ideas, then you really don't have an excuse not to make a reel. And your reels don't have to be perfect. People want to be entertained for 10 seconds. You can't make a 10-second video. I don't care if you have broccoli in your teeth. I don't care. And it doesn't matter if it's loud in the background because the audio is going to cover it up. Who cares? Do it. I promise you, you will increase in your engagement if you will. So how do you find trending audios? You go to your Instagram and you click on the search. See that magnifying glass? And it's going to bring up a grid of all of these different posts. Now, there are kind of fitting into what Instagram knows that you enjoy looking at. But if you notice, all of these are perfect squares except for one. One of them is more of a rectangle. So you see how the rest of these are all little squares and then there's a rectangle? If you click on that, do you see how in the corner here, do you see that arrow? That's that audio. All it is someone laughing. Okay, so there's an arrow that's pointing up. That arrow pointing up, I'll show it to you one more time. Do you see that little arrow down there next to the audio? That is showing you that that audio is trending. It's popular. And you can actually click on the audio. When I clicked on it, you can save it. If you save it, it's putting it into your saved audios on Instagram. But I would go to your notes and put down the name of the audio, type it, or you can copy the link and say what you thought you could do with it. Like, what could I sit here and laugh about? And it could be when people tell me probiotics don't work and like write that on your reel and be like, whatever it is, it's ridiculous, but this is what works. The other cool thing is you can see how other people have used this same audio. So that's one thing that you can do. And then once you found the trending audio, you can also go and look for more trending audios with that upward arrow. So we're going to work on our stories right now. I don't care how you look. I don't care what's going on. You're going to do it. And then you're going to make a list of potential reels using trending audios. And I'll put this in the chat.
Real quick, Kim, I'll answer your question. I was telling Jennifer about this too. As far as reels following your niche, the audio itself might not be niche specific, but it's finding a way to gear either the caption or the text on that audio that is going to, yes, focus on that area. So that one, you can go back and look on my page where I said I can be ready in 5 minutes if you say, mimosa or brunch. But then I brought it around to everybody needs to have a mom tribe that they can go grab coffee with when things feel hard, that you can talk it out. So the actual reel with the trending audio, I picked the trending audio because it was one that came up suggested, but then I geared it towards what the focus was going to be for my niche. So it's just getting creative with using those trending audios to then focus on whatever your topic or subject is for your Instagram.
Okay, so, oh, it looks like Rebecca explained that to you. Somebody asked, where does the audio go when you save it? Because when you go to your actual profile grid that shows your picture up in the top left corner and your name, if you click on the 3 lines on the top right, it'll say saved. And saved, once you click on it, I save posts, like maybe that I want to remake for myself, and I also save audios, and they're all right there. The problem is if you've saved all these audios and you don't remember the genius idea you had when you first saw it, like, oh, I totally could be like in the kitchen, looking for something. If you don't write down the idea you had associated with it, then you'll forget. And the first couple of times I made a reel, and I haven't even made that many, it took me forever. I was like, is this honestly a good use of my time? It is. That's what's happening right now. People are finding you and following you because of reels. You're not too old. You're not too boring. You're not too uncreative. Every single person can make a reel. And I highly suggest that you do it. And the better you get at it, go follow people that are amazing at it. Kristen Boss is amazing at it. And all of her audios you can be guaranteed are trending. So go ahead and follow her for sure. Also, did anyone tell you guys about getting a reposting app? Do I need to explain that, or do you already know about it? You already know about that. If you need to know more, put it in the chat and I'll tell you.
Please tell more.
Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to go to the App Store and you're going to search on your phone for a reposting app, because the thing is with Instagram, you know how on Facebook you can just click the share button and you can share content and it will just do it. You can't do that on Instagram. So you have to go to a share app. So go to your App Store, pick a free reposting app. I'm trying to think of the name that Shalene mentioned. Sarah, do you remember the name of the app she said?
She just said there's several really good ones.
If
As
you
long
type
as
in
they have,
repost for Instagram though, guys, you're going to get all
make sure it
sorts
has
of free
5
ones. Just
stars.
get one that has really good reviews. Like there's quite a few already that have 100,000 reviews, 76,000. One of them is literally just called Repost Plus for Instagram. Then what you're going to do is based upon your niche, and that's something that is still, I haven't quite narrowed that down for myself. And so I'm continuing the way that I've been doing until I'm ready and I've decided. So Tina, I know you're saying that's kind of paralyzed you. Well, that's the opposite of what you want to have happen. So go ahead and keep going with what you've always been doing and really work hard to narrow it down. Like, what is your message? Who are you? Who do you help? And what I wanted to do was something like, I help women my age not to take themselves so seriously. Well, that actually gives me a pretty wide grasp on what I could post on, but is that going to get people to come to me that are very narrowed down and specific? So I'm still working through that. But when you repost, you're looking at posts that kind of fit that niche from other people, and you're reposting their post on your Instagram profile. Now, what you do is you delete all of their words, except for maybe a little, and you make the post that you've written. Say, I just read this, give them credit. I just read this by @Mountain Mama who does hobbies, whatever. I just made that up. And it really meant a lot to me because it made me think about, and you're using their picture. It's like a simple, easy way to get content. Plus, the person will see that you tag them and be like, thanks for the share. Like they're going to be excited because you're showing their content to your people. But guess what also is happening? Their people are probably going to start seeing your content. So it's like you're scratching each other's back. It's a good thing.
So real quick, Tina, health and wellness could potentially be it. So for example, Jen Hawkins has always loved and posted and shared about intermittent fasting. So if you go look at Jen Hawkins, she's really honing in on that niche of intermittent fasting. Well, there's a natural progression with health and wellness there. So your niche can be related, but it just has to be something that you love, you're passionate about, you're walking through, all of those things that we talked about last week. Most people, it will not be specific to health and wellness, but more specifically, your niche is not plexus. So if health and wellness, counting macros, bodybuilding, intermittent fasting, if those happen to be your niche, it will be a little bit of an easier transition to, yes, you're going to sprinkle plexus in there, but I'm doing parenting teenagers and that has nothing to do with plexus, and I'll still figure it out in stories somehow. So Katie, I will just say, Shalene Johnson said 99.9% of us should not be posting products on our feed or us with products. Here's one thing I will say. She said, create curiosity. There's a few people who are amazing. They get on their stories and talk about their niche while they're mixing their slim and active and everything in their cup. They never actually say, I'm mixing a slim and it's for this. I'm mixing a hydrate and it's for this. They literally are just doing their morning routine of making and mixing their products while they're talking to their audience about whatever it is they're going to show up for that day. So that would be a great way to create curiosity, in my opinion. But Shailene she said, nobody's going to be able to do it well as far as actually, here's a product, here's why you need it or what you should do for it, as far as front facing feed. So you can just take that for what it's worth.
Okay, we're wrapping it up. And I just gotta say, like, look at Carol. She's like, that was uncomfortable. I had to go and do a video and no makeup. My hair's a mess. That is what people want. I mean, as much as I love to look at pretty things and seeing people's polished accounts, ultimately it serves one purpose. And it's not always a good one. It's to make me feel like I'm not doing enough or I wish I was more like them. Now, that will create some type of following, but wouldn't you love for the person just like you that doesn't feel like they're pretty enough or put together enough or feels like everyone else is doing it better? Wouldn't it be just the best thing in the world if you were used to be a connector for them? If they thought, this person makes me feel like there's someone out there just like me. Like, wouldn't that be the best feeling in the world? And so ultimately, the more followers that you get, this isn't about like, a notch in your belt. Instead, this is about how many people can I ultimately help? How many people can I make a difference for? I've seen so many funny things on Instagram from people I don't know at all that I have found myself like out and about chuckling, remembering it. And that's a gift. That's a gift that we get to operate in. And so when you're asking yourself, I don't really know like what my niche should be, here's what I want you to say. Who do you want to help and how do you want to help them? If it genuinely is, I want to help women in their 40s feel better than they've ever felt. That's fine, but there are a lot of ways you can help them feel better because people don't trust you if you only recommend the thing that you're selling. You have to be recommending lots of things that you don't also get a cut of. And then the person says, this person's always giving me really great advice, whether it serves them or not. And they begin to trust you because they know that you're going to give them good things. So if you're going to do that, you have to be sharing all the good things, not just what's going to give you commission. Like, we know your heart is good, but perfect stranger doesn't. Yeah, clothes from Walmart are amazing right now. Time and True is like the best brand ever. Is that what you're talking about, Sarah? That brand is amazing. Okay, so let's go ahead and wrap it up. I will see you guys next Monday. That will be the last day of the month, right? Pretty sure that's right. And then the following week, we start the coaching. So that'll be really good. All right. I will see you guys soon. Thanks for hopping on.